Some breaking news now. Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing conservative political activist Charlie Kirk, appeared in court virtually today. He didn't come on camera and only responded when the judge asked him if he could hear everything. So the focus of the hearing, whether Robinson should be allowed to wear plain clothes to all court appearances and appear without restraints.
The court orders as follows. Defendant's motion to strike the sheriff's response is granted. Defendant's motion to appear in civilian clothing is granted. Defendant's motion to appear without restraints is denied. The standing decorum order will be amended to prohibit any visual recording or photography of the defendant's restraints or of the defendant entering or exiting the courtroom.
I want to bring in CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman with more on this. Katrina, thanks for joining us. What was the reasoning the judge gave for his decisions just minutes ago?
So what the judge said is that even though the court said normally defendants during these pretrial hearings just wear the clothes from the jail, but what the judge said is this is such a high-profile case. There's so much attention on it that it could potentially prejudice Tyler Robinson if he is seen in those jail clothes. What he said is that his right to the presumption of innocence outweighs the minimal inconvenience of providing civilian attire. Because there's this ideology that you have the constitutional right to the presumption of innocence, and the way you're perceived can affect that. So during a jury trial, a defendant is supposed to be allowed to wear their own clothes. Often during these preliminary hearings, they aren't given those clothes, but this is a very different type of case. There are so many eyes on it, so the judge is making an exception here. However, he's not allowing them to take off the restraints, even though there was a similar argument about that presumption of innocence and perception, but the restraints are supposed to be subtle. They're not supposed to be visible to the jury. The judge also said that it needs to be the least restrictive restraint possible. If it's interfering with his ability to take notes, to communicate with his attorneys, he might make a reassessment there.
This is certainly a high-profile case. I'm curious, in other high-profile cases, how often do defendants get to wear their own clothes versus a prison uniform?
Again, so generally during these pretrial hearings, preliminary hearings, defendants will end up wearing the prison attire, but in some high-profile cases, it's different. For example, with Luigi Mangioni's case or Sean Combs' case, they allowed him to wear his own clothes. In Sean Combs' case, this actually became known as the sweater defense among some people because he would wear these outfits, a collared shirt, a sweater, khakis every day. It was a very different look than how he was seen in the regular world, and it potentially created a certain perception of him for that jury.
So why was Robinson wearing the suicide vest we were showing in that photo? And that was during his first court appearance. So how could that alter perception of him?
So our understanding is that Tyler Robinson's parents had said he was having some suicidal ideations back when he was arrested, that he had told them that he would rather commit suicide than turn himself in, which he ultimately did with the help of his parents and a sheriff friend of theirs. But at that first hearing, he was seen wearing that suicide vest. It means he was on a safety watch. He was viewed as high risk, and it could create the perception that he is a danger to himself, potentially that he is a danger to others as well.
So another high-profile case, Luigi Mangione. So attorneys for Luigi Mangione, the man suspected of killing the United Healthcare CEO, also wanted to have him in plain clothes. Some called that special treatment. Now, sometimes federal and state courts have different rulings on what they wear. What is the reasoning?
So yes, for Luigi Mangione, his attorneys have also wanted him to be in his own clothing for his hearings. This is another extremely high-profile case. So many people from the public, young people, are coming to these trials. But for instance, at one of the state court hearings, he was given his own clothes, a sweater, khakis, a shirt. I was at that hearing, and it was actually said that a couple of notes were stuck into a pair of Argyle socks that were given to him. He ultimately apparently didn't like them, decided not to wear them. After that, at the next federal court hearing, he actually was then wearing the prison-issued clothing. But his attorneys are making a similar argument. They're saying that there are so many eyes on this trial that it will prejudice him to be seen in prison clothing because They still haven't picked a jury for these trials. They haven't been set yet. And very similarly to Tyler Robinson, there's so much visibility here that it could create a certain perception of Luigi Mangione, of Tyler Robinson, before their trial even takes place. And as Tyler Robinson's judge, Judge Graff, reiterated today, he said this at the first hearing, that Tyler Robinson is still presumed innocent until each and every charge against him is proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Despite all of the evidence that some people may feel has been brought into the public eye, this case still needs to be proven at trial. He deserves that presumption of innocence, and the way you're dressed can impact that perception.
Katrina Kaufman, Katrina, thank you.